like, and subscribe.
Falcons fans, the NFL draft is officially over. And I only got one thing to say. Fuck them Falcons! I wore my Georgia hoodie all draft. What's wrong with the Falcons, man? We need Georgia players in Atlanta. How many times we gotta tell them that? Fill the quota. All these talented Georgia players winning national championships, and you don't want to draft them? Jalen Carter fell in the first round. I expected that. And we passed on him. Darnell Washington fall in the third round. We passed on him. I thought Arthur Smith liked tight ends. Keely Ringo went early fourth round. Chris Smith went fifth round. We didn't have a fifth round pick. So there really wasn't anybody left except for Kenny. I think Kenny went sixth round. No, he went seventh round to the Seahawks. Passed on him. We really didn't need him anyway. Still no Georgia players. UDFA. I got a problem, man. So you know what I did? I called the Eagles fan base. I said, hey man, y'all got room? I've been a dog since I don't know when. They was like, sure. Let me email you the trader contract. And I was like, I'll humbly sign it. I'm an Eagles fan now. E-A-G-L-E-S. Eagles, Eagles, Eagles. Nah, I'm just playing. I am just playing, y'all. But man, what about the Philadelphia Eagles drafting all the dogs? It make you wanna, like, secretly, I'm gonna be an Eagles fan. I think they might win a Super Bowl, like, eventually. You cannot, like, that's too much talent on one defense. I know it may not work immediately, but because they had to catch up to the speed of the NFL. But man, they building a defense, and they signed Eli Ricks, UDFA. Not saying Eli Ricks is the end all be all, but I mean he's a former 5-star player. He has talent, man. They should win a Super Bowl. They're gonna have college playoff football rings, and they're gonna have Super Bowl rings. Dang. Anywho, the Falcons had a good draft. All in a whole, the Falcons had a good draft. They did good. I can't complain with any of the picks they made. They surprised me with some of the picks, but they don't bother me. I mean, I wouldn't say they surprised me, but they took a lot of players I didn't expect them to take, like I thought they would have taken. But that's the thing about us. That's the thing about the people that actually work in the NFL, the scouts, the GMs, all that. They know these players. You know, they watched all their games, like live, film. They've asked them questions, coaches questions, all that stuff. So they know these players better than we know them. And the players they took, there's some good players. A couple of them are Senior Bowl players. Yeah. Let's start with the first round. So the first round was like my heart was racing when Jalen Carter fell to number 8. And apparently the NFL knew something about Gonzalez that we didn't know. Apparently, I guess he's just more than an athlete than he is a football player. I mean, they chose the player that I thought they would take. Like, it made the most sense. Bijan made the most sense. He was the best player available at that point in time. Bijan Robinson, I didn't admit it publicly, but I knew it was a good chance he would be drafted to Atlanta. Like, when I did my mock, I said all that stuff about character and stuff like that. And once I heard Bijan do his interviews and I heard him talk, I was like, oh man, this guy's golden. Like you don't get in between a man and God. You don't want to get in between that. There's nothing but trouble. That man believes in something bigger than just football. Like spiritually, he's connected. And you don't want to get in between that. The man has undeniable talent. He's a game changer on all levels. A lot of people are saying why we didn't draft the receiver. He's your receiver. He now is like the number 3 or number 4 option, receiving option on your team with Kyle Drake, Jonu. Like he surpasses Matt Collins. He surpasses Scotty Miller on like target options. Like he was that's why I was saying he's the best running back. There's no other running back like him in this draft. Like he can change the game like that as soon as he get the ball in his hands. It's going to be adjustment to the NFL, but like looking from the outside in, you're like, dang, this dude, he surpasses all the other talent that fell below him besides Jalen Carter. So, a lot of fans wanted Lamar Jackson during the offseason. You got your Lamar Jackson. Bijan going to sell tickets and jerseys. Everybody going to come to the game to watch Bijan. Because he's going to be that good. They wouldn't, the kid, I don't want to call them kids anymore. I keep doing that. The guy, man, he just, he wows you. And I don't know if it's fool's gold or not. But you can't deny what he brings to the table. At all. Dang. I really didn't know much. I knew about Bijan. Like, I knew he was a 5-star because I follow recruiting. But I didn't know, like, where he was from and, like how highly he was rated coming out of high school. He's from Arizona. Keely's from Arizona. So these kids, those guys, they balled out in Arizona, man. They got some brewing over there in Arizona. And you know who else came from Arizona? Spencer Rattler. We ain't gonna talk about him though. And then next, we got round 2. Now, a lot of people were kind of upset about this, and I could see why. Like, a lot of people think we passed on some good players. A lot of other linemen. But I think the second round pick in Matthew Bergeron was a great pick. You gotta think about it. You gotta look at it in a different scope. You gotta look at it long term. This guy played left tackle last year. He can play right tackle. And they have already seen him play guard during the Senior Bowl. So they know he can play that. That's short term, him playing guard. Long term is if something tragically happens or Jake Matthews ends up retiring or his play falls off. Just kick him back out there to left tackle and he should be good. By that time that happens, he'll have caught up with the NFL speed and he'll be able to handle those edge rushers in the NFL. Now, not saying I think he could do it now. People, I know why, because they look at it. But arm length, when you got good technique, you can. It's a balance. You can outbalance technique with arm length. Especially if he's freaking athletic. Like, this is another thing. Like, a lot of people that make football content, they watch games and stuff like that, full games. Me, I do now that I know who we got. But before, I just watch highlights. I want to see what a player can do good. If I'm like, oh, he does this good, he could do that for our team. Granted, that can be bad looking at what he can just do good, because you're not looking at the whole game. Yeah, but you want to know what he brings to the table first. And I really don't have a lot of time to just watch games like that. But once I watch Bergeron, I watch Bijan games. I mean, you can't. I don't even have to talk about him for real. I mean, you see what you see, but people don't watch O-linemen. So I watched games. I started watching games. I can't remember the first game I watched, but the dude is athletic. He's physical. He got versatility. I seen him in jumbo packages, playing as an eligible tight end. He gets to the second level real well. Like, he's gonna be a good fit for the Falcons, and hopefully he can hold down that starting left guard position. So that's what I was saying. What if other guys end up developing to starting left guards, and then once Jake leaves, just slide Matthew back to the outside? Yeah. Oh, the other thing about the pick, let me get back to that. Second round. Let me go to the second round. Okay, the other thing about the pick was we looking at the second round, and obviously they had their eyes on a lineman. And they took the best lineman on the board, honestly, especially the best tackle. Maybe not the best guard or center, but they took the best tackle. But that tackle has guard flexibility. So technically they took the best things. They took the best thing out there. And when you look at where we were compared to who could have taken him, I'm not saying like a lineman didn't go until the Jets came on. The Jets came on the clock, and they got Joe Tippmann. So I mean, they had to trade up because the Jets easily could have drafted Matthew Bergeron. They were one pick in front of us, and you didn't give up a lot, so it ain't that bad. And a lot of people think that there were other players graded higher or better than him. I don't know. Cody Mott, like, he played at the FCS level. Not saying that that's a bad thing, but you gotta look at it. He had those. A lot of people look at those PFF grades, and he had a high grade because he was playing at the FCS level. And Bergeron, I mean, he's gonna add to what we do already. What we do the best is run the ball. He's a great run blocker. That's all I got on Bergeron. I watched him. I mean, he got solid technique. He got solid technique. One thing I noticed that he does real well, if he kind of like loses the battle, he's quick to recover, and he can win, and he can recover to win the battle. So it's like he's fighting, he fall, but he get back up and knock somebody out. So that's good. But I mean, he's physical. I mean, the guy, I think he's hungry, man, because he's from Canada, and he had one scholarship offer. The other cool thing about him is he played in Syracuse and he played in the Dome. So that's one thing about those Syracuse guys. They play in the Dome. I mean, there are a lot of good players on the board. I mean, but I think they knew what they probably valued him real high. Like out of all the tackles, Paris Johnson Jr., Broderick Jones, Peter Skoronski, on day one, they got the best tackle on day two. For sure. The best tackle. So, I mean, Falcons fans, don't be angry, man. They did the right thing. It's going to be okay. Y'all be ready to nail the team, to nail them to tie them to the railroad tracks, man. It's going to be all right. Now, moving to the third round. A lot of people were mad about this pick, too. Zach Harrison, How can you be mad at 6'6", 270, dang near 80, a basketball player's wingspan, let's put it like that, explosive off the edge. Like, how can you be mad at this? I know why people were mad. Like, when you look at the board, there were some good players left, like Yaya Diaby, Trenton Simpson, Kobe Turner, but Zach Harrison has a lot of room to grow. Like, Ryan Nielsen can mold him into something better than Cam Jordan, something better than Calais Campbell. Like, and then he was a 5-star. Like, I didn't even know about Zach Harrison until I did a little bit of research after the fact. And what I learned about him was he's a 5-star. He came from Ohio State, so he knows how to rush the passer, which we need desperately. So why are we mad about that? And then when I watched him, he's very active with his hands. Like, he gets his hands, he has a lot of batted balls down, a lot of batted passes. That's one thing that stuck out to me. And besides his explosiveness, like, he's very explosive and he's long. And he can play inside, outside. They love versatility. You gotta love versatility. Because if a man goes down or we go into a different package, we gotta know if you can play inside and outside. You know, because that speed coming from the interior with the long arms and him being able to bat passes down, like, you can't go wrong with that. Like, that was a solid pick. Some people may call it a reach. I mean, he was right there, like, according to the big boards and the consensus. I mean, he's right there in the wheelhouse of being a 3rd-round pick. So, I think it's a solid pick. Out of all the edges you could have picked, he's probably the best one. And then the pick that they traded, the Colts got Adi, or no, not the Colts. Oh, that was the 4th round. I'm sorry. But yeah, that's a solid pick, man. He plays not championship football like the Dogs, but he plays winning football for a program in the Ohio State. And when they played Georgia, I was like, who is Zach Harrison? Like, he's pretty good. And I seen his name in the draft. I'm like, oh man, yeah, he's solid, man. And I watched a couple other people talk about him. Same thing. I mean, he's that pass rusher that can turn into being a day one guy. You know, it's just gonna take a little time, a year or two. But I think he'll give you value straight out day one. He'll give you value day one just from being an edge setter, strong at the point of attack. You know, pass rush downs. He can get his hands up, and I'm pretty sure he can put pressure. And the other thing, people talk about PFF grades. He had positive PFF grades in every category. 80 plus. This guy's an 80 plus guy in the PFF. You can't go wrong with that. You can't argue with that. A lot of people get caught up in their emotions because they don't draft the player that they want to draft. But you gotta look at it in hindsight. Like, you can't just the initial reaction be like, and maybe it's just the initial reaction. Because I mean, I don't react. I don't say like, oh man, they should have drafted him. Nah, I'd be like, yeah, that's a solid pick. Like, not who I thought they would have picked, but that's a solid pick. He's solid, man. Zach Harrison. Now let's move to the 4th round. Day 3, the longest day of the draft, like, cause we didn't have no picks. Clark Phillips III is a straight up dog. Now, a lot of people are throwing that term around loosely these days, but this guy is a dog. I ain't know a lot about Clark Phillips. I ain't know that he was that highly recruited. I ain't know that. This dude was dang near. He was a top 50 prospect. When you look at it, he may, like, after it's all said and done, he may be a top 30, top 20 prospect from that recruiting class. The kid, here we go again. The guy, man, he's 5'9", but he doesn't play 5'9". He play like he a big dog on the block. Like, he went toe to toe with Drake. That's the first game I watched. He went toe to toe with Drake. I can't remember if they lost or won that game, but I just know that he was doing his thing, man. This a player that he got versatility too, inside, outside, and inside. He played a lot in the slot last year, and he played a lot in the slot his first year starting. He played a lot in the slot. Then the second year, the Drake game I watched, he played a lot on the boundary. I mean, he's very physical. I know what the USC game I'm talking about, the one with Drake. I just not after the play, but when the play was over and before they blew the whistle, like this one guy, the first time he tried him, number 16 from USC, tried him, and then he was like, you know what I'm saying? The next play he came back, he squared him up, boom, gave him a shot, and then he kept doing that throughout the whole game. He was like, bro, you're not finna sit here after every play that was going at it. That's what I like to see, man. Physical. Doesn't play like he's 5'9", man. Fast. The other thing I noticed on watching the games, he has great instincts when he gets the ball in his hands, because he's an interception. He's a takeover machine. He turns into a playmaker. When he get the ball in his hands, he's liable to score. The man got 4 touchdowns in college football. So that was probably, a lot of people question all the other picks, but this was probably the pick you couldn't question, besides the fact that he's 5'9". But if Jeff Okudah comes back, we got AJ, he could be the starting slot corner, nickel corner, whatever you want to call it. That dude is good, man. Clark Phillips III. That was some of the things I first seen. He's physical. His instincts are just great. He's faster. Yeah, man. That's all you can really say about him. He's not gonna get beat down the field a lot. You know how the wide receivers like to stack the DBs. He turns his head around. He's right there with him in phase. Gets his head turned around, and he's right there with him, man. He's good at attacking the ball in the air. He's gonna be a great solid DB, man. He might be, and with the DB coach we got, Jerry Gray, all them, Steve Jackson, man, that guy gonna be solid, man. Hopefully Jeff Okudah don't ask for a lot of money. We're gonna have a good DB core for the next few years. Then in the 7th round, I mean, DeMarco Hellams. You can't go wrong with a Bama player, man. DeMarco Hellams really solid. Great down in the box safety, which we need. Richie can play in the box, but this guy can play in the box. They call him Hitman. They call this dude Hitman. He out there putting hits on folks. Dang, man. And then it's just, you can't go wrong with him. He doesn't. I really didn't watch a lot on him because I didn't have time, but I can just only imagine, man. From what I see, I watched the highlights, but from what I see on the highlights, man, he's just an in the box guy. he's something that you need on your team. And he's probably gonna be a good special teams player and all that. But like I said, you can't go wrong with a Bama player. He gonna be solid. That was a solid pick. I mean, a hit man. Come on, man. And then, he does have good instincts too. He got real good instincts. I seen that. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like people don't. Well, I guess people weren't talking about him enough because Alabama was kind of underwhelming. You know what I mean? You know how that goes. So maybe people got a lot of doubt just because they had a off year. But I mean, they only lost 2 games. So I mean, still Bama. Still got coached by Nick Saban. Like, solid. Javon Gwynn, the back-to-back pick in the 7th round. Now, the only thing I really know about Javon Gwynn, and it says a lot, I remember when it was COVID and Georgia was playing them, and I remember they did an interview with him, and like all the O-linemen had quit the team because I think Will Muschamp was getting fired or something like that. And all the players had quit the team, and he was the only player that stuck it out, and that said a lot about him. I think that's the same guy. I'm not sure. If you're watching this video and you know about Javon Gwynn, let me know, because I think that's a fact that really happened, and he stayed around and helped that team. You know, it was close to the end of the season, but still, man, that guy stayed and fought it out with those guys. Now that says a lot. And he started like. How many starts they said he had? Like, he had a lot of starts. The guy been playing SEC football for a long time. The only knock on him is that he's small, but he plays guard, and they're probably going to move him to center more than likely. And the other fact about him is that our O-line coach now, when he coached at NC State, he tried to recruit him. So, I mean, that says a lot right there. So that familiarity is gonna go a long way. But he should be solid, because I mean that says a lot about you, man. You don't quit on your team like that, especially at a time like that, man. When everybody, just because you losing don't mean you just gonna quit on the team. So that says a lot about him. He should be solid in the long run. Maybe not a starter, but definitely solid. Yeah. But all in all, the Falcons had a solid draft. Maybe you don't like it. Maybe you do. Yeah, they got some picks for the future that's gonna help the team out. 1 through 4. They got some depth in the 7th round. So, I mean, we can't complain until we see them on the field and they not panning out. Then you can throw a fit. But for right now, they got some solid picks. Solid. I mean, maybe not. You can give them an A. You can give them an A. Maybe a B plus or a B, depending on how you feel about it. But, I mean, it's pretty solid. Especially that Clark Phillips 3rd pick. I think Bijan just puts the icing on the cake, man. For real. Like, Bijan was like, oh my gosh, man. I can't. Bro, Bijan is going to help this team, the offense, Desmond Ridder especially, so much. It's going to take the load off of him. And they got the starting guard. Like, that was the missing piece to the puzzle. Hopefully Drew Dalman can hold up. But the offense is going to be straight. Desmond ain't going to have to worry about nothing but knocking up. That's the only thing he got to worry about. Don't F it up. Because the play is going to hit. Arthur Smith called hit plays. They going to hit. I ain't got high expectations, but I at least see us making the playoffs, man. Like, the offseason is building up to be something good. So let me know what y'all think, man. Did we have a good draft? or not. What you expect coming up? I know we signed some UDFAs. One guy's Cornelius Bennett's son. I haven't watched him yet. Another guy is a guy from Rice. I can't pronounce his name, but he is solid. Another edge rusher. Small, not small frame, but he's like 6'4", like 250. And we signed a guy named Justin Marshall from Georgia. Not the University of Georgia, but the state of Georgia. Went to Newton High School out there in Covington. They put a lot of good players in college. He's a big body wide receiver, and he's fast. He's like 4.5 speed, plenty of speed. He's like 6'2", 2 something. So a lot of people wanted Mingo. Hey, this may be your Mingo. I mean, granted he's UDFA, so he got to work his way on the roster, but I feel like he got a good chance because I mean he just brings a lot to the table. So let me know what y'all think. How we did. Do we have a good draft? Bad draft? Give a grade. You know, what you guys think is gonna happen next? How the season may pan out. And we're going to be back with some more Falcons content and sports content. Let's get it. Hey.